ahead and take it into game number 3. Past that halfway point of week 3 NPLC contenders. And now on to the map we go.
Yes, the relationship that is Miramar NPLC. We're in the 3rd map of the day. One more to go after this. Halfway through. I keep doing all the AKAs. AKA, 3rd map, AKA, halfway through. Here we go. It is not a terrible plane path. Everyone gonna get looted up, and we are going to see how the circles shape up and how everyone decides to shape up against each other. Oh my goodness.
I mean, plane paths have been fair for the day. Games 1, 2, and now 3, giving these players fairly good planes to work off of. No dramatic shifts, no insane rotations going to have to come out from these teams to get over to the eastern or western or northern or southern side of the map. One team, though, that doesn't change their drop no matter where the plane is. They love it, they know it, and they aren't contested on it. It's going to be Overconfident down in Mikado.
Is that right, Phil?
No, that's right, Lucy. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it in the MPL. We've seen it in the first 2 weeks of the MPLC. Teams that land center, granted it's not a guarantee, but teams that land center minimize those rotations, having a better performance in the leagues.
That's true, yes, for themselves, because they don't have to move too far. We do see, like C9 likes to drop there for the NPL. Oh yeah, that circle is fantastic. To me, I don't think that's terrible. We've got a couple teams out there in the southeast corner, but Sonics, I'm going to assume they perhaps might move more north, try to move in, but that's going to be super dense coming in regardless from the southeast section.
Another constant, at least in terms of Miramar play, going to be Reinvent, taking another split drop, not as split as they were in game number 2, but they have to be more careful this time about other teams picking up on this, about maybe Gregshot or Steezy or Grizzly getting caught out, especially being so dangerously nearby to, hey, the teams that caught them out in the first place in game number 2, the Happy Campers, positioned just to the north of where Gregshot is.
Low-key in the northwest corner. Things are just kind of getting tied up all around me, and it is a fantastic time. Don't mind me. Everyone's gonna loot up. We got Loki just up there doing their thing.
What are your thoughts on these far polarized areas, Lucy? I mean, do you ever drop in Alcantara, and do you think there's anything beneficial to gain there?
Pretty sure I've never dropped there, but I mean, the loot has been buffed a bit, so. Lucky for them, the circle's right next door. So they're gonna get their gear. They're uncontested for the most part, and they're gonna be all right, it seems, moving into this first phase and perhaps into the second.
Fignaldo up in Alcantara with Relo. But I mean, yeah, that western side is, in pub games, it's fairly barren. In these competitive settings where we have loot ramped up, there's really not going to be a bad place on the map. It comes down to where you're going to be safe, where you think those rotation paths are going to favor your team the most. And we're going to have to see some rotations, speaking of those, from some teams down in the southeast. Sonics having a tough day. You got to at least feel bad for what they've been working up against, but they are a strong team. Yaxley, Smithy, Landoon, and Tony V, previously of the Team Gates roster, now under a new org. You've seen these guys perform in the past. You know they've got it in them. Something just not clicking today.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with them. They are getting some good kills regardless, but they do need to get some better placements. Zenith going to be pushing and making their rotation here as Phase 1 is about to start on the move. Running hit Grizzly, I would assume. Oh, and there he is. Trying to get some shots or visual on this caravan of vehicles heading in this opposite direction. But he's not going to engage that.
Certainly going to be hearing them, maybe trying to get a nice tire popped out. They just put a wrench in the plans of Zenith, but it's not going to happen. At least serving his effect of putting out those pressure shots, making sure that Kendo, Patron, Roth, and Lush don't turn in. They're not going to be taking this compound that's outside of the circle, but look where they are going to be going, Lucy, directly into possibly the Happy Campers, who they themselves are on a rotation. So this is the time of the game where you expect all these rotations to come, and you're happy to see teams doing this. I feel like in game number 1, we saw a ton of late rotations.
Super late. I'm not sure if, like I said, the first one, everyone was a little, I won't say nervous because I don't know how they were necessarily feeling, but you're getting your feet wet. You're trying to feel it out. You're like, all right, now I've got to get into the competitive mode here, and we're not in scrims anymore. This is for real. And we're seeing it now as each map has progressed. These teams are really making some solid plays.
Well, yeah, I think the thing is, too, with the break that these players had, there could have been changes in strategy, there could have been changes in drops that these players weren't used to, at least in that first game. So you had to play it a little bit differently. It was more of a feeler out type of game that you would see at the beginning of these types of tournaments because, hey, I mean, 2 to 3 weeks, that's a break, Lucy. That is certainly a break.
It is. And, they did have the Royale in between there, but it's just, it was interesting to see a lot of the top contender teams not advance, and now they're back, and so perhaps they came into this a little shook and just wanted to see how they fared with everyone back in the contenders, and fared they did because Mustache Dave taking off with the lead and everyone else just trying to file in behind him.
So this is interesting right here. Lego Your Ego going to be popping some shots down on top of Halo Klein just as Elevate was approaching Pax. He hears the shots just over the hill to his west. Going to be telling his teammates, guys, there's another team approaching. I see a squad down there. Doesn't know it's Halo Klein just yet, but having to play this very, very, I guess, passively for the time being. It's not going to be easy for them to work off of.
That's right. We'll see Pie, player one. I just keep wanting to say Pie. That doesn't offend anybody, right? If I say Pie.
Hey, it doesn't offend me, but they might offend them as they're able to get the first knock and the kill of the game. Player one esports on top of Trifecta all the way down here in the south. They're not even stopping Aguila, Lampalot, David, and crew going to continue on. I mean, they just blew by it.
That was a hit and run if I ever saw one.
That was a hit and run. Theros is now left just like my teammate is gone.
Hello, guys. Here we are. They are very far outside of the circle. I mean, it's phase one. It's not going to hurt too bad, and it's moving very slowly as well.
Where are you going, Theros?
Take the car. There's two in front of you. You want it. It goes very fast.
Get right there. Anyways, Theros is going to be checking something out. I mean, maybe he thinks, he's going to loot Hades. That's exactly what he's doing. I was like, Theros, why are you running down there? No, he knows exactly where Hades died. He is going to get that much needed loot to try to carry on because, hey, all things considered, being a 3-man in a 4-man lobby, karma.
Mistakes were made. Someone wasn't paying attention to their health, or they just didn't have any.
Trifecta in the kill feed just saw that, and I know that they're just like, ooh, sweet, sweet karma. You run over our teammate, and now you're falling out of vehicles.
What happened? He just wasn't paying attention. Not sure if maybe they ran into something and it popped him out of his vehicle, knocked him out. But lucky for them, as I said, this isn't going to tick too hard on their health, and they're just going to continue on their way. Because he does have health. Heals, I mean. We saw that when we went to him.
He does have health, but someone who doesn't have health, it's going to be Leda. Dropped down by Reinvent, now flushed out of the game by Greg Shots. Mini 14 Fac was trying to provide that 2-2 support. Quickly spotted out after his teammate Leda gets pretty much laid out of game at number 3. And now a quick retreat with 26 HP. One nicely placed shot could take him out, but he's now saying, too wide open of an area for me to cross without any type of smoke concealment. I'll stop here behind the defilade, get the meds going, and hopefully my two teammates back in the Overwatch can put out the necessary pressure to send Reinvent packing.
I mean, he's got some nades there. Vac, he's healing up, I know, but he's got to be hearing those shots. And now that I have it in perspective, that is kind of a hefty distance. I was thinking that maybe they were just a little bit over the one ridge line, and that's a pretty hefty ridge line to try to chuck a nade.
Smart play. We talk about all the time how it's not just teams deciding when to engage, but also when to disengage. And disengage Reinvent shall back to the safety of their compound just before the phase 2 shift. A smart move to make, being very aware of the game, essentially. That's all it comes down to, making those disengages at the right time. Granted, they could have been shifted out. They're going to still be in an okay position moving into this phase of the game.
Yeah, we see Lego Your Ego. They're coming in all spread out a little bit. They're going to be trying to take center-ish of the new zone. We've seen this favor teams very highly by rotating immediately as fast as you can once the new zone pops. We've got Overconfident also rolling through in the middle here. I don't know if Lego Your Ego is going to keep continuing past that compound, but they might want to decide maybe to stick around. They are going to choose to do so.
One team that's going to be making that quick rotation, trying to get a centralized compound. They love center on Miramar. It's going to be Overconfident. Quickly spotted out, though, by a scout from Lego Your Ego. Zydus up here on the hill. See Stab, the lone member left of Overconfident, trying to reunite as a 4-stack. Able to safely get there, but not before taking a few shots. This gives away Lego Your Ego's position as well. Zydus being fully aware of that, starting to check those 360 flanks.
Yeah, that mini is really loud when you're just going to open that up out in the open field of Miramar. We've got Dave, Team Dave over there giving some shots, throwing down some shots, I should say. You don't want to be given any shots. Like, sorry, I'm going to give those back.
Take this. Yeah, take this here.
Here you go.
So Zaitis, he's got a little bit of help from his teammate Mardones, pushed off of the compound, trying to move into a more traditional 2-2 split. Very important, probably the most favored strategical move from any team. That and the 3-1. The 2-2 and the 3-1, where the one solo player is the overwatch position, while the other three teammates aggressively push up. Those are formations you're going to likely see in almost every day of competitive PUBG, and we're seeing them right now from a few different teams. The Happy Campers, 2-2 split just north of reInvent. Everyone finding nice places, but a place that's not going to be too nice is right next to Team Crew, where Trifecta's Theris and Nitrogen are now finding themselves.
Oh, look, they just got to this compound, gave them a little cover away from Crew's gunfire there. Filthy is going to join them. Here shortly we see Player One Esports off in the distance, and everyone is just going to be getting position in this next zone here. See Zenith coming in a little late there on the northwest, right behind GG Well Played.
Sonic's still trying to rotate in too. They just got out of the blue zone right before the blue zone starts to shrink in on phase number 2. So a late rotation, but I mean, at this stage in the game, they've got to do something differently. And this might be it, it might not be it. We'll have to keep an eye on them. But fights are breaking out. Charity trying to at least thread that needle through several different teams, finds themselves a nice little bit of a dip to call home for right now. Not sure if he will call in the other members of the Happy Campers. Charity, a very strategical player, a smart player as well, knows the game incredibly well, so he's going to make the right decision or whatever he thinks might be best for his team in this scenario as many other squads around the map start to collide. Zenith Esports and GGWP on the west-hand side of things.
Yeah, I mean, Zenith, there's equally within the zone, equally with outside of the zone, and they're just GG Well Played is just going to have their sights down onto Zenith as Patron is going to come in a little late to meet up with them. The zone is going to be closing in on GG Well Played, so they got to be moving here in a second. They can't wait there much longer.
But look at this, the flank player, Dexy, doing it once again, trying to wrap around and get the drop on top of Zenith. But Zenith, we see them a little bit far off in the distance. They're popping in the cars. They're trying to get out of dodge because phase number 3 has popped, and it's going to be shifting up to the northern part of our previous circle centrality. And here comes the shots. GGWP going to be spotting out Kendo and Lush. Out of the car goes Kendo down to the Scar. Headshot of Finna, picking up a nice kill point and sending Zenith on their way with one man down.
Yeah, Zenith, they drove in and they're smack in between Mustache Dave and Elevate, as Elevate just saw Zenith roll up and they've got their sights right square on top of them.
Happy Campers trying to line up a bit of an engagement or maybe even catch a drop onto Denial Esports. Still in that 2-2 split, but shots continue to come out. Carbon and Tetra from the warehouses somehow have an angle on Spray in the far back position, trying to overwatch onto his teammates from the shack up there on the hill. Nice shots though coming out. The third party from reInvent will be finding their connection on top of Cloudtail. A little bit of separation in between reInvent and this other squad of Denial up here to the north, but it's not going to stop them from putting out the pressure.
Here with GG Well Played as they find themselves in the mix with Low-Key now, the other team that's also going late into the next zone. Looks like everyone's going to decide to disengage from this one, move into the next zone, and we'll see who becomes who's a little bit more victorious with this next round. Joker, though, there at the top by himself. Here with Player One Esports and Lampalot. Is that vehicle about to explode? Or is it just...
Oh, no,
yeah,
it's certainly smoking. A lot of shots came out from Overconfident, certainly adding to the damage that Murado has taken throughout the first 15 minutes of game number 3. But right next to Mustache Dave is where Player One Esports decides to call home. Some might say, if you find yourself in between Overconfident and Team Mustache Dave, it's just get out. Just don't even be there. Do whatever you can. Full send it as far away as possible. Team having a tough time trying to get inside of phase number 3 is continuing to be the Sonics.
15 teams still alive. We're 45 seconds away from phase 4. It's a lot of teams at this stage.
It certainly is. At least we haven't seen any teams drop out. A lot of players have been feeling the hurt around the lobby as Adam starts to put out some of that hurt. Disciple going to be knocked down and out. Another play with the Scar as he quickly retreats. Adam, that is, back to Leafy to try to stick the res. Keep the Happy Campers at 4 strong as the blue zone starts to shrink in. Everyone at least finding a position. Some a little bit more safe than others. Zenith, Roth, I'm looking up here at you. An incredibly safe position, pretty much hiding out on the hill, but you can't fault him for that. A solo player, you play it the way you need to get into placements. Likelihood of a solo player getting a ton of kills, as well as placements, pretty low.
Yeah, and up high is definitely where you want to be because you do not want to be spotted out by anybody. Proning through the fields. Sonic's still out in the blue. What are you doing? It is phase 4 now? Phase 4.
Yeah, it's not been friendly to anyone. It's just it's what do you do at this stage in the game? You got to send it, and at this point, already teams have secured almost every position. And if it's not a position that's secured, it's a rotation path that you're going to be crossing through, encountering different teams. Sonic, Smithy in the blue zone going to be knocked. The other 3 members of Sonic, Landoon, Yaxley, and Tony V have to do something desperate here. It's do or die. And for the Sonics, at least in game number 3, everyone is hoping for do. We want to see this team do well, or at least improve off of their first 2 games.
Yeah, actually riding around in that loud Murado, but everyone also knowing that phase 4 is very quick. So for the luck of Sonics, that everyone's just gonna go ahead and rotate, and they are gonna continue to follow in right where they're taking down the Happy Campers out in the open.
Leafy going to be knocked. Spray going to be knocked now, just leaving Adam, the solo player, in this area. They've got Charity to try to help out, but Charity's in a completely different area of the zone. Adam going to be all by himself to try to fight out of an incredibly dangerous position as Zenith Esports gets taken out of the game. Our first team to be eliminated in game number 3. Here comes Charity, spotted out by the exact same team that was pumping his teammate's car full of lead, trying to make that rotation around this western edge. They've got Halo Klein in a bit of a gatekeeping position, but Adam still has to retreat off that edge and get to safety.
You know, you mentioned the first team to go out. I did forget that there are not 16 teams in the contenders any longer. There are only 15, and that's wild that all teams were still up this late in the game.
Yeah, and if you at home were wondering that, you just tuned in and joined us, we are having 15 teams for the remainder of Phase 1 NPLC. Elder Wolves disqualified from play here, but there are still going to be 15 teams fighting, trying to make it into Pro League and trying to avoid relegation out of the Pro Leagues entirely. Not going to be playing in NPLC if you find yourself in the bottom 6 and not making it out of relegation.
Yep, and you see in the top right corner, Finna took out Grizzly. Grizzly actually somehow managed to down himself via a vehicle. I'm not sure in the manner in which that happened, but being able to capitalize on that self-knock for themselves. Oh, Microfry going down. Elevate and Dave, they've been going at this for some time right now, and they are collapsing down as the zone moves in and everyone is having to shift a little side shimmy there into the new zone.
A little bit of a side shimmy. Pax going to be pushed up, the solo player, at least in this formation, 3 back, 1 up, as Pax tries to just hold Mustache Dave at bay. He's expecting maybe an aggressive play to come out, but no, they're just going to be picking up the res on the Microfry. That's Godspeed coming in clutch with that help as Elevate now starts to get third-partied a little bit. Hearing these shots, Mustache Dave might decide to stick around.
I mean, this is really interesting. The Denial is out in an open field, and they're going to go ahead and take shots over to Elevate. Lego Your Ego hears these shots coming from Denial and is trying to spot some of those players out. It just depends on where this shift goes with this circle, but Cloudtail is going to go ahead and scout out here. Lowe's taking over a shack. Push it back out.
Breaking out on the eastern side of things. Oh. Sonics down to just 2 players alive. Tony V and Yaxley taking a hell of a lot of damage from Blue Zone and lead from their enemies. Halo Klein Gaming ends up finding the shots, but it's going to be Player One Esports. A hell of a lot of teams, Lucy, going to be able to shoot into that wide open hill and find the members of Sonics. Out they go in 14th position here in game number 3 in this hard shift up to the north, going to be including that wide open field, just a few hay bales, 1 structure to hide inside on the northern side of this circle, which means the south is going to be crowded. Make that rotation fast, but even if you do make it fast, you still got to worry about 3 powerful squads. Low-key, Player One Esports and Overconfident already holding strong.
I mean, there's so many teams right now. This is crazy. Elevate and Mustache Dave pulled away from each other because they were getting third party. And now Elevate finding themselves in engagement with Denial, holding this open field. I mean, oof. We were
That's
talking
all
about
you could say.
I
That's all
know
you could say.
these open fields.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Now, the open fields are no joke. Speaking of no joke, it's going to be Godspeed pushing up onto Joker. Didn't even know that's who we were going on, Lucy, but no joke indeed as he tries to throw some nades on top of Mustache Dave's Godspeed. Godspeed returning the frag presence, but not finding the connections. A quick retreat back to the safety of the compound. Smart decision given the fact that a lot of teams will be looking over here with so much commotion.
Driving in with this many teams in this small of a circle, you literally can't even say, oh, look, they ran into another squad. You know you're running into another squad. They're everywhere.
Charity and Adam
oh my goodness.
in tandem end up picking up a huge squad wipe on a Halo Klein Gaming. That was a lot of Charity and maybe one or two shots from Adam up across the road. But what a way to work yourself out of a sticky situation. I was saying it earlier, Lucy. Charity is a strong player both in skills and strategy, and it's really showing for the happy campers.
Yeah, they find themselves over here by holding this eastern side down. GG well played, going out on 11th. Looks like by Stab caught him out. Solo trifecta Nitrogen is going to be snaking his way into this Murado.
This is a lot of pressure right here. You're the solo player up for your team, but you're also the newest player to the team. The newest addition, Nitrogen, coming in to replace Soko, previously of Trifecta. So you gotta think, you don't want him to be in a position where he feels bad if he didn't do enough, if he played to his strengths, but you also don't want to be going out in 10th position, especially with the type of night, the great night that Trifecta is currently having.
Can you go to the overhead? I need
to bet.
Look at these two, Nitrogen in the bottom right corner here, and Charity, they're just squaring off.
Yeah. You like this Defilade? Yeah.
Yeah, I hear the Western whistle. What is that?
Yeah.
They're just looking to all right, who's gonna move first? I know you're over there.
10 paces, you turn around and shoot.
Oh, no.
Microfrag now going to be the only remaining member with HP still alive, trying to counteract this blue zone damage, able to pop the med kit and get ahead of the blue zone, now working his way over to Caden to try to get the res. But still, it does not negate the fact that there are going to be teams looking in this direction. But with so many teams with down players, Lucy, you got to think, are they even going to be worried about the far western teams?
I think at this point, everyone is going to be trying to make it into the new zone. Elevate, you see, all four are still up, and they have a very good control of this northwest section, while everyone on that side is going to be trying to make their way into the new zone. They're going to be able to capitalize huge.
Bit of a better idea as to what these teams are working with. David from Player One Esports getting dangerously close to one of the members of Overconfident. Trevor going to be lying down, but the shots come in from a distance. It's going to be Lego Your Ego from the warehouses, finding some lines of sight up here on the hill on the Player One Esports. Microfry, solo player with Caden now pushing in, able to secure a position inside on the edge of zone number 6, but how safe will it be as a solo player because Caden is still caught back on the far western edge of the previous phase. With so many shots coming out, Caden knows it's not going to be easy to work this way in. Might be time to start taking some shots, play into Caden's strong suit.
Yeah, Microfray is in a good position to at least hold off Elevate to a degree. Crew we see now going out at 10th place. But Caden going to be able to capitalize on the third party by denial to make his way into the new zone. Hopefully that's enough. But in the meantime, Elevate is scrambling to try to figure out exactly how they are going to safely get into the new zone.
Loki now going to be working off the edge. The blue zone is going to be pushing Loki directly into the members of Elevate, who's now, or rather Overconfident, who is pinched in between Player One Esports as well. Grenades are flying. Keenan, Stab, and Trevor are cliffhanging for dear life, trying to survive.
I think they're just standing in the line, trying to figure out exactly low-key.
Oh, that's what you don't want to walk into, a full 3-man firing squad of Overconfident. Low-key's Joker had no idea what was going to be happening there, and here come the follow-up grenades, trying to land on top of Fignaldo. Fignaldo spots out Keenan, the Stab retreats back into the smoke. Trevor putting out the shots. Low-key Esports going to be going down and out in 9th position as a quick reset has to happen for Overconfident. Blue zone pushing in, and Player One Esports still looking down the barrels of their guns.
Yeah, that's going to be real tough to try to get up their down player. David from Player One Esports going to be putting his shot. Oh, Caden goes out. Elevate, wow, Denial finally completed that skirmish there. It says, goodbye, Elevate, we're done with you. This fight has gone on way too long.
Tetra and his teammate going to be peeking around those nice hay bales out in the wide open field. Sort of a saving grace for them. They came from the north, wide open field. No teams down in the south wanted to make that rotation to such a dangerous point, which has pretty much kept Denial Esports safe. But now the blue zone coming in, Nitrogen taking a chunk of a lot of damage. Nope. I mean, no, not going to be able to counteract that. Outgoes Trifecta, 6th place. All things considered, not going to be terrible for them. Remember, the goal is to get as many points as possible, and when you were that low coming into the day, it's going to be progress, progress, progress. Wherever you're ending, next shift is up. It's going to be favoring
Good
Lego Your
night.
Ego. Lego Your Ego is another team that's been having incredibly consistent performances on the evening.
Yes, they're holding down this compound. The circle has answered their prayers. The Happy Campers taking shots from Player One Esports, who are unfortunately outnumbered. Charity's going down, leaves Adam all to himself as Player One Esports, all four are going to rotate and collapse on to the remaining member here of the Happy Campers.
Yeah, but does Adam have enough separation where he can disengage off of this if he needs to? He sees 13 alive in the kill feed. He has to recognize that he's not the only other player, or only other team rather. There's still going to be room for movement in this if he tries to play it as safe as possible. A few other solos, mainly just microfry.
Yeah, I don't know how safe this can be because I mean, you've got Lego Your Ego. They hear those shots. They're waiting. You see them looking, and they're just like, somebody's gonna crush this any second now, and they're about to die.
They might be about to die. Someone's about to die. I think that's one thing that we can say for sure. Microfry spotting out the two members of Denial that have been so strong in this late game. The shots coming out with the SLR, not finding their connection, instead drawing attention to the location of Microfry. Thankfully, though, this is Miramar. Deflate is pretty fair supply. If you're looking around trying to find some Deflate, likelihood of you landing upon some or already being next to some is pretty high. But here comes Denial pushing into Microfry. They're not feeling any more resistance from this direction. Probably have a pretty good idea that it's going to be a solo, maybe a duo at best. And now the pressure being applied. A nice connection with the SLR by Microfry, taking down Carbon very low, but it's not going to be enough. Tetra with the SKS shots take down Mustache Dave in 4th place.
4th place, my goodness. That was a very interesting push by Microfry. He had really nothing to work with in front of him and decided he just went full aggro onto the two players of Denial, and he just had no help unless he was able to land those shots. And unfortunately, 1v2 in an open area, we just saw, did not work out.
Did not work out. Blue Zone about to close in here. Our next shift is about to come out, and I think everyone's eyes are, is it going to shrink around this compound? And sure enough, it is.
Good night.
Lego Your Ego holds on to a dominant portion of one of the remaining circles here in game number 3. It's all going to be what can Player One Esports do? And if Player One Esports does do something, will that open up an opportunity for Denial's two members to push in?
I mean, you've got Lego Your Ego. Yes, they've got this compound. Yes, they have the circle. However, they're being surrounded by two different teams, which then separates Lego Your Ego. So you'd think it's a 4 versus, say, the other 4, but it's not. It's really like we see 1 or 2 versus 2, and then the other 2 have to verse the 4-man of Player One Esports. This is just, this is a very good opportunity for Player One Esports to be able to start picking away at Lego Your Ego in those compound, in that building.
Third line from the balcony has the elevated line of sight to spot out Carbon. Now trying to bait maybe a little bit of res information, or maybe even just try to get Tetra to move off of this. They certainly know the direction he's likely coming from.
Oof, and he's got to make that push into the new zone. They're just waiting. It's a matter of time.
It is a matter of time. I mean, the blue zone, it's shrinking in. 45 seconds until the blue zone will have collapsed on the phase number 8. This is giving us an idea on the final phase, phase number 9, where it's going to be taking place, where that circle will be collapsing in and on itself. Trying to put out some pressure onto this warehouse. Took a lot of damage before that grenade went off, but now the third party coming in, Player One Esports, taking a little bit of attention off of the full 4 stack of Lego Your Ego. Tetra now up at the safety of these hay bales near the compound, but Lego Your Ego, Zydus in third line, going to be at least trying to spot out where Tetra's is.
Wow, Tetra, kudos, that was amazing. He was able to use a grenade to put cover for himself, to push back anybody that could be peeking a door there or what have you, so that he could have that opportunity to make it to the zone. Bodies are falling. We've got Player One Esports, 2 down, D-Treats dead. Oh my...
But here's the deal. Player One Esports, they just took out 2 of the members of Lego Your Ego, while Zydus and his teammate third line pushed to try to kill the solo from Denial.
Yep.
Their team got obliterated. It's a 2v2v1 around the map now as these players try to figure it out, and Lego Your Ego will be able to find the remaining member of Denial. They get the kill, but their other member, Mardona, is still going to be bleeding out. Currently right now, Player One Esports recovers 1 res, a 3v2, until Mardones either gets up or drops out.
And this is what I was saying. I just called this out. With this, having teams on either side splits Lego Your Ego up. It isn't a full 4 team versus everyone else. It's split players. We've got Aguila over here trying to catch a couple of these Lego Your Ego players on that rotation. And now here we just have 2 up versus 2 of Lego Your Ego. Oh, now, as I say, 2v2, while 1 are down from each team.
What did I say? It's a 2v1. 3-1 now. It's in favor of Lego Your Ego. Huge nades coming out for third line, able to find their connections. Got nades. Probably still an understatement, and as far as what third line was able to accomplish there, Player One Esports, it just got turned right back onto them. We thought they were coming up on top of this, but no. Lego Your Ego, off of those 2 knocks, third line and Zydus have been able to reposition. They've got center circle, they've got hard cover. Now it all comes down to whether or not they can spot out Lampalot, the solo player from Player One Esports, trying to recover, not going to be able to do so in a 6-kill victory, a chicken dinner for Lego Your Ego. Lucy, what goes better than chicken with waffles?
Oh, nothing. I just throw on a little syrup and you got yourself a